In that one, 5 hours and 34 minutes. Proud of the guys. Obviously, they poured their heart and souls and wanted to win that. And being at home in front of our home fan base against a good opponent, obviously, heartbreaking loss. You want to win that game. And I thought our guys did a really good job of competing for over 5.5 hours. They were tremendous. There were a lot of really special individual performances on the mound. We put some people in some spots on Friday that they hadn't been in because we were trailing, and we hadn't trailed in many games either. And some of those guys really answered the call. Robbie Porco had his best outing of the year. Ben Hudson had his best outing of the year. Bryant Yoke got an out. Jack Kartsonis was excellent. Chase Myers, one of the grittiest, gutsiest performances I'd probably ever seen. He was excellent at Oklahoma State. He had 9 punch-outs in 3.2 innings, but tonight he went 5 innings, 2 hits, a walk, and 5 strikeouts. He had 2 at-bats. I told him hopefully we never have to see him swing the bat again. He's a terrible hitter, and he's a wonderful pitcher and a really, really good competitor. And then Luke came in and did a nice job too. He gave up a hit, but we trust Luke Lyman with the ball in the biggest spot, and that's probably the best thing that you can tell a kid is just we want to keep putting those players in positions to win the game. We used our entire bench. Every position player that was eligible entered the game. And so we have a lot of guys that we trust, and depth is our strength, and so we use it and didn't pull out the win tonight, but really proud of how the guys competed.
So, as far as longest games you've ever been a part of, where does this stand?
It's got to be up there. When I was coaching at Oklahoma State, we played Texas in a 16 or 17 inning contest at some point. We ended up on the right side of that one, but I think this is probably top 2 or 3 games that I've ever been in lengthwise.
How does a group of guys stay engaged in a game for so long? I mean, it's 5.5, 6 hours. They've been in the ballpark longer than that. I mean, for everyone to still be engaged at that point, how'd you manage that?
Yeah, I think a big piece of it is literally hydration and nutrition during the game. So our strength coach, Chandler Geller, director of performance, does an incredible job. The dugout is lined with food and water, and the starters that came out of the game, they did a really good job today staying in the game. Sometimes it's easy for guys that started the game to check out a little bit because they're so used to starting, and I thought they were really rooting on their teammates and fired up. Chase brought great energy on the mound, Chase Meyer, and the pitchers just kind of kept answering the call. So those guys were fired up, competing. You saw those individual moments of like excitement. Skylar King gets a bunt down and he's fist pumping down the right field line. Just some big moments where guys were really playing to win. And so 5.5 hours later, our guys are used to adversity. They train for that. Long days at the field, long practices, adverse weather. And so I thought today was just another one of those tests, and they certainly passed that.
30 players eligible to play in the game, right? How much does that affect you in what you're trying to do, especially for pitching with 2 more games to go?
Massively. I don't know where we stand exactly, but both teams obviously had to throw a lot of pitches, and they threw their best arms because on Friday night you go play to win. And I think that's pretty much everybody's philosophy. There's not a lot of holding back. And so we'll have some individual performances and some starts, hopefully, that are longer. You might not be able to go to the bullpen so fast. Today, Griffin Kern went 2.2 innings as a starter. You might have to wear a few more hits or walks or runs in this series because you can only go to the bullpen so much. And some of these arms that threw today, they won't be available tomorrow because of the pitch count.
Cross your mind, like, when you're making decisions, hey, this could go 15, 16, 17 years, everything kind of more like anybody?
Yeah, I think everybody's different. Like, I'm a guy that's always says I'll play 20 innings if we get the win. I prepare for 20. That's always like where I'm at mentally. And then some players think that that's, or players, staff, they think that's almost like a negative outlook because you're saying we're not going to win the inning now. I just like to prepare myself mentally that I'll camp here if I have to win the ball game. Whereas Some guys are more right here, right now, in the moment. I think if I think that, then I can be pretty clear. It's like we're not trying to get out of here. I always feel like there's a little bit of a battle of like a hero mentality with players in those moments. You get to the 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, and everyone's trying to either strike a guy out or hit a homer versus draw a walk, get a bunt down, have a quality at bat, hit a single up the middle, win pitches. It feels like each bat there's more and more on it, whereas I always try to just get the team to understand that if we do what we do, we'll probably score a run here at some point. They have an excellent pitching staff. They have some of the best stuff in the country. If you're a baseball guy and you watch those games and what was thrown at the mound today, there's nasty stuff on both rosters. There's going to be other teams that we play certainly that have great pitchers, but there's not going to be a lot of other teams in the country when you watch two like that have that many pitchers with that good of stuff.
Kind of on that note, you guys held Arizona scoreless for essentially 13 innings, a full game and then some, in between the time that they scored. I mean, that certainly speaks to what the guys out of the bullpen were able to do, especially when we talk about Chase. Right?
Yeah, that's crazy. And I think some of it does go to that hero mentality. I think at some point, Oni said, I think that's that guy's 6th strikeout on the day. And so I was like, wow, it's hard to strike somebody out once or twice or 3 times. I mean, that's a hell of a week to strike out 6 times. And so, and I think it's both ways, right? We had 29 strikeouts. I've never seen a number like that ever. But it just shows the quality of pitcher and probably a little bit of the pressure that the hitters were putting themselves in those big moments, because that's abnormal, I would say. The last time that we didn't score a run in, I bet there hasn't been one time this entire year that we hadn't scored a run in 7 innings is my guess. And so pitching has something to do with it, but I think that feeling of want to win, we have to do it now. I told the guys, this isn't adversity. You guys have lost 2 games on the year. We don't really know what adversity is yet. This was us competing our asses off, and we got to learn something from this moment, because I think it's probably abnormal for us to not score in 7 innings. I don't care if Cy Young's on the mound.
Coach, obviously you had Chase Meyer have 2 at-bats. Is there anyone in your bullpen that you can trust to potentially go up to bat and potentially come across another game like this?
Yeah. I don't think we will. I would like to prevent that at all costs. We had Max Stifler ready to hit if we needed a hit, and we had Tucker Delisle ready to go to the plate and not swing because he's shorter than Max Stifler, essentially. So Max Stifler is probably the most athletic. He was a quarterback. He was a hitter in high school. He'd probably give us the best chance for an actual hit. And the reason we couldn't do that is because we kept bringing Chase back out for the next inning. So if we were going to stop Chase from pitching and go to somebody else out of the bullpen, we were going to put a different pitcher in there, because I don't think Chase has actually ever hit, even in high school. He's one of those rare non-two-way guys out of high school. He played at academies and only pitched, so he had 0 chance.
Coach, I know you talked a little bit about the Arizona pitching staff coming into this game. They were #1 in the country in regards to walks per 9 innings. Were there any conversations with your hitters about, hey, these guys are going to fill up the zone?
No, not too much. And even today, they did a good job, but not a great job. They had 10 walks. And so they scattered the ball a little bit. They do a nice job pitching in the zone. They're not traditional pitchability command guys. They're plus stuff, plus pitches over the plate. So, like, they're not in and out, up, down. They are 96 with power sliders. They get tons of swing and miss, which really helps their walk rates. So people offer at nasty pitches and strike out. It felt like there were some at-bats there where, like, you could have gone up there with your bat backwards or a wiffle ball bat and maybe got to first base just because they weren't in the zone that much, but the stuff's so good that people offer at it. And so much easier said than done. Hey, don't swing at the slider under the zone when it's 87 and spin it at 3,000. It's tougher to do. So we didn't specifically talk about it just because the mindset of the hitter, you always want them to be aggressive and on time and beat the guy's best fastball and all those concepts. So nothing too different today. There were some opportunities maybe with some guys where like you could hit and run if they were in the zone and you felt like you needed to roll the pole because they weren't going to walk you. That's a possibility with the strike throwers.
Coach, the game being almost 6 hours, how do you prepare for a game tomorrow at 4 o'clock?
Try to keep your post-game speech limited. Say, good work. You guys competed your ass off. Go to bed. They know where I stand on the competition side. The only thing that I demand from our guys is that you don't back down, that you show up the next day, that you get after somebody from the very first pitch tomorrow. So there'll be no excuses. Nobody cares if you're tired. Nobody cares that it was 5.5 games. The only thing that matters is that you bring energy and you give yourself a chance to win tomorrow. So they know where everybody, the staff, the players are all in the same boat. Nobody likes to hear the other team hooting and hollering and chanting on their home field. So hopefully that stings a little bit and they use it as motivation.
Did you feel the need to check on Brody?
For sure. Yeah, just scary. He's Batman. He's got cages all over his face and masks, and so he was good. But obviously more scary than anything, and like that dude just continues to prove his toughness. Breaks his nose, gets hit in the head. He still has a black eye from it. Gets hit in the head again. And we had a chance we could potentially take him out of the game for concussion protocols and then put him back in if we wanted to. But if the 30-man roster, once you enter somebody for Kresser can come back in, but that person that entered for him can only go in Kresser's spot. And so you wouldn't do that. So if you put Guzman or Valdez or a good base stealer in the game in that spot, now you're only stuck for Kresser, that person with Kresser. So strategically, it wasn't smart because Kresser can steal bases. So you don't want to burn your best base stealer in that situation. So I felt a little bit of handcuffed, and I just said, "Chris, how are you feeling?" "I'm fine." I was like, "We could take you out here and then put you back in the game, but strategically, it's not the best decision." He's like, I'm fine. Well, I'm good to go." So the trainer checked him out and said it was an issue. I guess it maybe hit the cage or his ear flap or something, but kid's super tough. I mean, once you break your nose and then you have a 95-mile-an-hour fastball hit you in the head, and he's still in the game. So just a stud.